we're looking at the memory capacity of the animal, how it brings in information from its environment. For this discussion, we'll call that environmental stimuli, and how that formulates in its brain, because it's highly intelligent and it's got long-term memory. So that environmental stimuli comes in, so the perception of that animal's, how the animal perceives that environmental stimuli is going to mix with his natural predisposition, and that's what's going to come out in the behavior presentation. So first of all, what I had to do in a very short period of time was build a rapport with the animal so he could trust me.
Okay, and you do that how?
By just petting him and making sure he understands he has nothing to fear from me. I just want to pet him. I've had dogs, and everybody always asks when I tell them that, they go, well, you know, what if they try this or try that? I've had them try to pull away from me. I've had them try to bite me. I've had them try to circle around me and stuff. I have found that once again, 9 out of 10 times, if you just stay steady and bring the animal close to you and show him you're not going to hurt it, they begin to let you pet him. And that's even some that's had bad experiences, but most of them do that because I have to get the collar on the dog. Okay, and so then what I have to do is show the dog its most fundamental form of learning.
And you do that with a direct line of communication?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, because it's funny he says direct line, because it has to be direct, because how does the animal learn? How do all animals learn? People. They go in the direction of the force that relieves the pressure. Period. I had to have a way, as I mentioned earlier, to be able to physically administer pressure or force on the dog with the minimum amount of force being used for the maximum amount of behavior change in a directional manner.
So when I first watched this, and like I say, I started training actually before, a year or two before Frank started training with me, I looked at this, and at first I didn't see anything any different. I thought to myself, okay, same old dog, leash, and collar. And that was a sad mistake. So I get back and I watch, and he doesn't say one word to the dog. For the first 10 minutes, he doesn't say one word. But the dog is obviously paying attention. They're obviously communicating. And for a minute, I thought, gee, is he a dog whisperer or something here? What's going on? Could you kind of explain that?
Sure. And I've had people say that about the dog whisperer. That's not it at all. What it is I actually begin to make sense to the dog. I give it a very attentive physical motion that lets him see what direction I want him to go. He's obviously restrained and has to stay by my side, but he can see that I'm motioning him to go forward and turn with me, and it makes sense to him.
So you form that communication that quickly, and the dog understands it with just a few walk forward, walk backwards, and
he begins to understand it. There's an association made. And the other thing is, I don't look at him. I'm not going to stare at him.
Why?
Because it's creepy.
Okay.
You don't believe me? Have somebody just stare at you. You'll see it's creepy. But I want him to look at me. I want him to engage his senses. I want him to use his direct vision and his peripheral vision to begin to communicate with me, similar to driving a car.
Well, explain that. How is training a dog and driving a car the same, guy?
Okay, well, I'm going to give you 2 examples on that, because the one is, and I find this because I'm explaining how the dog does it, or why he does it, and that is, everybody that I know learned to drive 10 and 2. Okay, and get your mirrors set, seatbelt on, and all that kind of stuff. But nobody's been able to tell me when that turned into 5:30 and a knee as they're trying to put makeup on or reach over and change the radio or pick something up out of the floorboard. What caused that change in a very structured way? Everybody begins, and it's called repetitive value. They do it all the time, and their direct brain, their conscious mind, and their unconscious mind both come together to learn in driving that car. You learn to drive the car by looking out the the windshield, but you set mirrors to bring in peripheral vision information so that you can react to tell you whether to continue to drive forward. That's how the dog reads body language.
So the dog is looking up at you out of his peripheral vision,
Yep.
and y'all are communicating?
just as sure as everybody's seen that right there and don't know why I did it, your peripheral vision, seen it right back there like that too. Okay, and you can't take it out of your brain. If I ask you why, name something I did that made absolutely no sense when I did it, at first you may not think of it, but if I offered you enough money, you would recall it and it would come out of your peripheral unconscious mind to your direct mind to go, oh, when you put your left hand behind your head, made a peace sign. And so yes, they read body language the same way. And if you don't believe it, what you try to do is just try to catch your dog when he don't want to be caught. Reach down and grab him. He'll outsmart you every time. Or better yet, put a treat in your pocket, make sure he's hungry, and let him know that he can get it from you and try to get away from him. He'll block you, he'll bump into you, he'll do whatever it takes to get that treat from you. He will be able to read and almost second guess your body language.
And it's
That's how it
funny you
works.
mention treats, because that seems to be what most people think a treat. Gee, I can get the dog to sit. Gee, I can get him to down. Gee, I can get him to jump. Gee, I can get all kinds of tricks done with a treat. And that is a form of communication, but is that what we're talking here?
Well, that's what a lot of people believe, but it doesn't really work like that in the dog's brain, because a treat to the dog is simply a survival resource. He does not understand what a reward is, he does not understand what punishment is, and he does not love us as we use those words. Those all take intellectual processing.
So them are human characteristics that we put onto the animal.
Exactly. And all he does is achieve a survival resource and give the behavior to achieve it again and again and again. And that process, in fairness, in training is called strict conditioning. That's what it's called. But most people don't carry it on to the level that it's supposed to be, but they take the very quick, immediate result they get, and then they call that trained, and it doesn't work. So
Interesting. So we have an animal here that we've developed communication with, and we can walk with the dog. How do we get it to sit and down? How do we get it to learn more than just walking and know and learn what's good and what's bad?
Okay, well, the first thing I do as the dog begins to show me he understands how to follow my hand as I'm moving is I'm going to show him the foundation of what I call the 3 correction rule. So the 3 correction rule is going to mean to the dog fundamentally that anytime he receives anything in a succession of 3s from this point forward, a behavior will be required from him. And I show him that by a series of pops, if you will, to get him to sit, and then I begin to walk around him. I have the leash, I have a 6-foot leash, so when I get that sitting action from the dog, I make sure the handle goes immediately into my left hand and begin to walk around. Now that brings up something else that needs to be understood. The dog can only see your left side, and due to his intellectual or lack of intellectualism, he does not understand that I have to choreograph moves with my right hand. He does not see the right side of my body. He only sees the left side. That's what he makes his decisions off of. That's what coincides the stimuli he receives. That's what is paired to the sounds I make. And so then I'm going to get to where I can stabilize the dog in the sit position by simply a series of 3 pops and walk around him, and him show me he understands that by me being able to walk around him a minimum of 3 to 5 times, depending on the animal. And I use 3 to 5 because the stop clock is right twice a day, and we're better than stop clocks. So anyways, I want to walk around him at least 3 to 5 times till he shows me that he understands what I want. Okay? Then I have to go through that behavior presentation to be able to get to restructure the memory, to be able to tie myself to it and restructure his perception. So then what I'm going to do is that's when I'm going to start telling him good. A lot of people ask me why I chuckle like that and why I drawl it out. Well, there's 2 reasons for it. Number one, the technique comes from Conrad Most, is where I got it from, and he is the grandfather of dog training as we know it in the Americas, whether anybody likes him or not. And he said to praise immediately upon physical motion in grunts and mere utterances inaudible to human ear. Why? Well, because the dog can hear 250 times better than we can. That's a scientific fact. There's really no need to yell at him when he's on a 6-foot leash. I need to change the tonality and have that tonality fit my body postures and what I expect of him so he can understand me. So when I'm laughing and telling it in a very soft, as he called it, caressing tones, okay, the animal has a better chance of wanting to sit there and listen to it.
So you're communicating a good behavior that the animal is presenting to you, that's what you like?
Yeah, I want him to understand. Look, when you hear this sound, just keep doing whatever it is you're doing. I like that. I'm encouraging you to continue to do whatever it is you're doing.
And a dog you've never seen before, you can get that with in just a few minutes.
Yes, normally that when I see people, that part right there will be approximately 20 minutes into our meeting, and that's giving them time to fill out their contracts and things like that. So it happens very quickly.
So once you
let me say this on what he's trying to say there, and that is because he's highly intelligent. He's very intelligent. His recall capacity is amazing, and his intelligence level is always, no matter what animal intelligent level you look at, it's above a cat and below a primate. Okay, so he's highly intelligent and he does have long-term memory. He can remember a singular incident recorded up to 9 years.
9 years.
Yeah.
Okay.
Jellybean versus Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde by C.W. Masterfield.